Hello everyone, welcome to the Cheat Meal presented by Deep Fried Draft. Our draft review series continues now with the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings ended up having what I consider to be one of the best drafts value-wise in the entire league. And this is coming from a team that did not have a first-round pick. They traded their first-round pick last year after Teddy Bridgewater got hurt. They got desperate, gave up their one this year to the Eagles for Sam Bradford, and still went 8-8. But they traded up into the second round. They swapped spots with the Bengals, gave up a fourth-round pick, and traded and acquired the player who I thought was the best running back in this draft on the field, Dalvin Cook, running back for Florida State. Cook creates his own yards, great speed. He didn't test athletically well in the other categories, but Cook can catch the ball. Cook can catch the ball deep down the field. He can pass block, and he, like I said, he creates his own yards. This was the difference between him and Fournette for me, is where I think Fournette needs a head of steam. I think Fournette needs a fullback blocking. Dalvin Cook can make his own space. With their third-round pick 70, they acquired a starting center or guard, depending on where they want to play him. But I think he's a starting level player for them. Is Pat Elflein from Ohio State. He's very versatile. Like I said, can play either guard spot or center. And they are weak on the offensive line, so it's definitely a spot that they needed help at. Their fourth-round pick 109, they got Jaleel Johnson from Iowa. Run-stuffing defensive tackle, has some pass rush ability, not a lot, but definitely moves. He moves the earth when he moves, so can create some discomfort there on the interior offensive line. One of their next two picks hurt their overall, what could have been a record-setting value score if not for these two picks. But they select Ben Gideon, a linebacker from Michigan, who I thought was a special teams type linebacker. They drafted him to be a potential starter in the down the road linebacker, judging by where they got him. And Rodney Adams, who is a flashy, speedy receiver, just about a round or two early for me for Adams, but kid can play and should make their roster. In the seventh round, they came back with receiver Stacy Coley from Miami, who I had rated as a potential maybe fourth, early fifth round guy. I liked him better than Adams. They added another interior offensive lineman with Danny Isadora from Miami. I thought Isadora got knocked around a little bit at the Senior Bowl, but he could be a solid rotational guy in the middle. I think they got their number 2 tight end with pick 201 and Bucky Hodges, who's a red zone high point threat there. Should be good opposite Kyle Rudolph. And I thought that was just excellent value there for Hodges at pick 201. At pick 220 in the 7th round, they drafted Northwestern edge rusher Afedi Odenigbo. Not somebody I knew a whole lot about, but could be a solid player for them. They got another big corner, Jack Tocho from NC State, pick 245. Going back to pick 232, they get Elijah Lee, a linebacker from Kansas State, came out early, 6'3", 220. Lee is a good sideline-to-sideline player with some pass rush ability. I could definitely see him being a starter on their special teams units, a star on their special teams units, and could eventually move into a starting role perhaps at one of their 3 linebacker spots down the road, way down. I thought they hit gold on a few undrafted players, guys who I think could definitely, if they don't make the 53, should make one of their 10 practice squad spots. Tayshawn Bauer, I thought, is a high upside pass rusher from LSU, a guy who was had 3.5 sacks, I believe, of Lamar Jackson in their bowl game. They got an athletic offensive tackle to develop in Aviante Collins from TCU, was the most athletic, the fastest tackle, I believe, or fastest offensive lineman at the combine, but definitely a guy that they could develop, and could develop. I'm not going to say as a starter, but I mean that's not out of the realm of possibility that he's a guy that you could develop for a few years. One of my favorites, late round guys, was Dylan Bradley from Southern Miss, signed with the Vikings. Bradley, in the Aaron Donald mold, I guess, of your undersized defensive tackles. He lined up all over the line for Southern Miss this year and was very productive. I did a write-up on him earlier this year as well. He's a guy that is another one that I think, like I said, probably not going to make their 53. But he could, with a productive preseason, he could see his way into the lineup. And they brought in another tight end, Josiah Price from Michigan State. Better junior year than senior year. But Price could be in contention possibly for their third tight end spot. Perhaps, as a practice squad guy as well. And another intriguing name further down their list, there are a couple, is another tight end they brought in, Derek Griffin from Texas Southern. This may be a tryout only, but he was a former basketball player, transferred from Miami, Texas Southern. And Tommy Armstrong, wide receiver from Nebraska, was a 3 or 4 year starter at quarterback, but has good athletic ability and worth taking a look at in camp. Total value grade for the Vikings, they finished second in the NFL. Average pick value, they finished second. And their money picks, first, second, third round, they only had 2, but they hit them both. And that gave them a money value pick of 1. Best money value goes to the Vikings. That's going to do it for Minnesota, and that's going to do it for the NFC North. Who is next? That's going to be the NFC South and the Atlanta Falcons. See you then.